And welcome
to Nightmare Nation,
a paranormal podcast where we talk about haunted places around the world.
Ooh, and scary things.
And demons.
And ghosts.
And witches.
And seances.
And sometimes cults.
I was just going to say
I
that.
stole it.
So we're just going to stop that right in the tracks.
Stop right there.
So that's what we talk about on this here podcast. Your favorite podcast of all time, because we're friggin' hilarious.
Yeah, and it's hosted by me, Annie.
Oh, and me, Anna. Woo!
Hot damn.
28 seconds.
Bam.
32.
You guys,
actually.
We made it so early.
Gosh.
I made it happen.
So proud of us right now.
It just popped into my head and was like, oh my god, I need to introduce myself. I never remember.
I know.
So
we never do.
That's who we are. And
we're here.
We're here to tell you about scary things.
Yeah.
And we love talking about horror movies and haunted places and ghosts and really anything in the world that's hard to explain or creepy in any way. We've kind of gotten off the rails a little bit the last few weeks with...
that's okay.
With special topics that aren't pertaining to haunted houses per se, but are also kind of in the scary umbrella.
Mm-hmm. But they're just
Did that
so
sentence
fun.
make any sense?
It made complete sense.
Okay, great.
Yes.
It made sense in my head, and then as I was saying it, I was like,
I don't know about that.
I'm not sure.
But yeah, that's what we talk about.
Scary stuff.
We're currently sitting in my closet again.
Yep.
Drinking beverages.
It's like our second home base for the podcast is Anna's closet. And yeah, we're having delicious cocktails.
This was our cocktail from last week. We also have a giant bottle of Riesling next to us.
The word giant is an understatement.
It is.
It literally weighs as much as like a freaking 2-year-old
like
human
a little baby.
child. It is like holding a small human.
You know, you think we would have learned our lesson from one of our past episodes where we hadn't seen each other for 2 weeks and we downed a full bottle of red wine to ourselves.
Bringing the source of alcohol into the closet or recording area is usually a mistake.
It's really bad.
We'll see how it goes tonight. If we sound progressively less coherent, you'll know why.
And if we're sitting in this closet for the next 3 hours,
if we have to take a pee break in the middle, you know it's gone south.
Yes.
Like one time.
If the boys come in to check on us, because we have
sure.
food cooking right now.
We do.
So.
Well, that'll help keep us on track. We have potatoes in the oven. We've got chicken that's going to be made here soon.
Hopefully.
So I was so Minnesotan when I said that. Chicken going to be made here soon, yeah.
You guys didn't know we're from Minnesota.
Christ.
If you can't tell by our accents, if we have one.
You know what else we're going to do later tonight, aside from drinking a giant bottle of Riesling, is watch more bad horror movies.
Yes!
And I'm so excited. And Andres and I have watched so many in the past couple of days. And it's just like our new evening routine. As soon as it hits like 9 o'clock, we're like, well, should we put on a bad horror movie? It's like,
just the best.
It's great.
I've been watching horror movies all week. And, you know, I just get in these moods where I just want something scary and gory and terrible. Mm-hmm. And then I get in moods where I want something happy because I've been watching too many sad things. But this week has just been all gore horror every day while working.
You'll balance it out eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about just sort of the general progression of how we watch media. You start with like a binge of something terrible, and then eventually when you hit that kind of like mental breaking point, nightmares starting to happen, then you switch it up to like Parks and Rec.
Yeah. If you guys haven't watched it yet, please go watch Slasher on Netflix.
It looks good.
It's so freaking good. So it's like American Horror Story-ish, but they have 3 seasons out, and each season is its own storyline.
I love when shows do that.
Yeah.
Because then they don't feel the pressure to continue with the same storyline and, like, have to throw in random shit to, like, make it continue evolving and be more interesting. They can just be like, all right, we exhausted that plot point. Let's move on to a new one.
Yep.
I love that.
And, like, the seasons are pretty similar in that you have a serial killer and they're going around killing people, and then you think you know who the killer is, but actually it's not that person and it's someone else.
Oh, there's a twisty twist.
Yeah, there's like a mind fuck to them.
That's my favorite kind of TV show.
So the first 2 seasons I watched were friggin' amazing. I'm currently on the last one right now, but it's like a horror movie that just extends out 8 episodes, and each episode is like 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's great. I love those long...
It's amazing.
Long form. That's what I like to watch during the workday while I'm working. And then in the evening, we'll switch to, like, movies or something shorter. But yeah, that 45-minute is a sweet spot for workday stuff.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I also watched a couple other movies. Don't worry, guys. I wrote them down so I could remember the titles.
Oh, good.
Are you ready for them? I think 2 I've already talked about. But the 2 I remember... So one was The Lodge. And this... Have you seen that one?
We just watched it!
Yeah.
With the fucking kids?
Yeah!
Oh my god. We just watched it.
Because they were talking about the cult. The kids.
Yes.
The 2 kids.
And
Wasn't that the one that you covered? Or did we talk about one?
I think that was fictional for that movie. I don't know that was based on a real cult.
Well, what was the cult that you did? Because
I did Heaven's Gate, where it was a mass suicide, but it was about like space and trying to like go join the like UFO or that was trailing a comet.
No, I know, but didn't you talk about one cult where they all died in their beds because they took something? And they had their face covered.
Yeah, in Heaven's Gate, they all were, like, wearing matching jumpsuits, and they had their bodies, like, covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the video, it looked pretty similar to that.
It's probably drawing on previous events, but, yeah, it's creepy.
It was so good.
And that movie I found it so interesting, and I don't want to, like, spoil too much, but essentially it's, like, these kids are their mom dies and they blame their father's new girlfriend who kind of came into their lives and upset things, and that's why their dad wanted to get divorced. And so these kids are really resentful towards this new girlfriend, and she, in an attempt to try to like get to know them, offers to go like spend a few days at their like family cabin with them while the guy is at work. And it like this crazy shit starts happening, and you're not sure, like, is it the girlfriend who was the sole survivor of a cult mass suicide, and, like, is she insane, or are the kids just being vengeful, spiteful little bitches, or is there something truly supernatural going on? And, like, the whole movie, you're not quite sure which one is which.
Yeah. And then the ending...
It takes such a hard turn.
I was like, oh my god, what is going on?
And it's so sad because you sympathize with both parties at the end. It's like...
Yes.
I don't want to spoil it, but like you feel bad for everyone involved because like, I don't know.
Yep.
That's
so good.
That's so interesting that you say that because we literally just watched that like a week ago and we thought it was really good.
Yeah. One of the better ones on
I
the
agree.
Netflix.
That's like an actual solid horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Guess what else I watched?
What?
Another Knocking.
Another movie that involves knock in the title.
Knocking.
Guys, at this point we've watched okay, what have we watched? Knock. Don't Knock Twice. Did you say there's one called Never Knock? Or like
yeah, I think so.
Something
like that.
I forget. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
What's
so this one is They Come Knocking.
They Come Knocking. Okay.
Which is on Netflix.
All right.
So this family, this guy's wife dies, of course. And this family is distraught. So they have their mom's ashes in this wine bottle. And they go out to, like, the first camping spot that the couple ever went to, and they had this trailer and stuff. And then all of a sudden, like, these little kids start coming after them and, like, knocking on their trailer and being super creepy.
Oh, no.
And they're,
children.
Like, paranormal children that are just creepy as shit, and if you let them in, then they're gonna kill you. And the ending turns out it's a very nice ending.
Okay. Not everyone just like dies or it's like not open-ended.
No.
Okay.
It's a really good ending. And it wasn't that bad of a movie.
Okay.
It was really good. And it's on Hulu.
Can I tell you a movie that had a really bad ending?
Yes, you can.
Okay. This was like the ultimate letdown and I'm going to go ahead and spoil it just so if you want to watch it, stop listening because it's kind of an indie movie. I'm pretty sure probably no one else is ever going to watch it, but it was called Followers. I think it was on Hulu, or maybe it was on Tubi. I can't remember. But it had a really intriguing concept because we start by following the lives of these two they're like fitness stars on social media. They have YouTube channels. They like post their daily workout routine and they're like sponsored by all these like health companies. And it's this really attractive fit guy and this really attractive fit girl. And they go on a date and they start dating. Mm-hmm. And we're kind of like watching their lives through the like lens of like their social media profiles. And then they start documenting. They're going to go. Do you know this movie?
It sounds familiar.
Okay, I'll keep going and you can tell me if you've seen it. But essentially, they decide to go camping for their 1-year anniversary. We find out cute guy is going to propose to her. We find out she actually has been cheating on him. And she's the embodiment of everything I hate about modern women, and I don't hate women, I just hate certain things about like the way women have felt like they need to make this picture perfect fake ass version of themselves that they post on social media, and she's glued to her phone. She's taking a picture, like 150 pictures until she gets just the right one. She has this bleach blonde hair. She's literally obsessed with herself and with social media and with likes, and I'm just like, I hate you so much. I hate you. Because I could not be further from that. But basically, they go camping, and they're in Florida, and they're camping out in the woods, and she like hears something outside of their tent, and then the next day they basically get assaulted by these masked people who grab them and tie them up, and then the camera cuts, and we shift back to the very start of the story, but from the point of view of these two documentary filmmakers who are doing a documentary about the dangers of social media and how easy it is to stalk and find someone based on their social media. And so they're basically using these two fitness people as an example. They're like, guys, this is all the information they're sharing on their public like social media profile. This is how easy it is to find them. And they get her phone number. They pretend to be representing this like fitness company. They ask her for an address so they can send her a free sample. She gives it to them, and they show up at her apartment, and they're going camping, and they follow them into the woods and are basically like, guys, this is a lesson of like why you need to be careful with your public information online.
Well, shit.
And they're like stalking them. And we find out the noises that they hear and the creepy people in their campsite are these two filmmakers who are doing this documentary. And so it's really cool because the first 2/3 of the movie is like we see it from their perspective, and then we see it from the filmmaker's perspective. And you're like, cool, where's this going to go? Because where it cuts off is with a gunshot being fired. And we're like, what's going to happen? Did someone die? And then it turns out, fucking completely out of nowhere, for the last like 20 minutes of the movie, they actually just happen to randomly stumble upon this religious cult in the woods that are performing human sacrifices, and the cult people are like coming after them and killing them one by one, and it has fucking nothing to do with the entire premise of the movie about them being these like social media people, and then they get stalked by the filmmakers. It's just like they were in the wrong place at the wrong time in the woods.
That's fucking dumb.
And
they had such a good plot going.
Yes, they had such a great premise, and it was really interesting. And I'm like, okay, well, how are they going to end this movie? And it's just like, oh, just kidding. They're getting picked off by this random, and they're all just like, the people in the cult are all just wearing white. It's like all these people, of course, doing these like religious ceremonies. Right. They're like, oh, Heavenly Father, accept this blood sacrifice. And they just start killing them. I'm like,
that's really stupid.
What? That literally has nothing to do with the rest of the entire movie. Why did you end it that way? It was so
they needed something
dumb,
exciting to happen.
But like, there could have been so many, and the other part I didn't mention is there's two guys making this documentary. One of them takes it way too far. He starts kind of like being extra creepy with the way that they're stalking them, and he starts showing signs of like wanting to actually hurt them, and his other friend is like, I feel like you're taking this too seriously, dude. And
so you should have just kept going with that.
Yes, if they had just kept going with like the friend like turning creepy, and then they're trying to get away from the friend. But no, they were like, oh, we're gonna set up this whole intriguing plot point about the friend like wanting to take it too far, and then a cult's gonna come kill everyone.
That's dumb.
It was so fucking stupid.
Dumb.
It had such potential, and they just ruined it. I was so bummed.
Perfect. Well,
okay, guys, that was our what we're watching segment, and now we're gonna transition to the actual meat of the episode.
The actual meat.
So this week, friends, we're doing a continuation of our 2-part Unsolved Mysteries
You get
special.
to listen to my voice for the next 40 minutes.
Yeah, we do. I can't wait.
How excited.
I didn't have to do any work for this episode.
Gosh.
I did my work last week with the Dyatlov Pass incident, and now I just get to kick back and relax and drink some wine while Anna talks about some stuff. I don't even know what she's doing yet.
She doesn't. It's going to be a surprise.
Can you tell us what we're doing?
Maybe.
Or what you're doing, I should
say.
So
I found this on an Unsolved Mysteries list of, like, the 10 most unsolved mysteries.
Like a BuzzFeed list or something?
Yeah,
okay,
something like
sweet.
that.
I love those. Those are my favorite.
And, like, I found this one after Annie said that she wanted to do an unsolved mystery. And it's like, okay, well, maybe, hopefully there's something. Because this seems pretty interesting.
Okay.
Well, we'll see. So, have you heard of the Sodder children?
Sodder?
Sodder, Sodder.
Oh, that
back in the 40s.
Maybe sounds familiar, but I don't know anything about it.
So, on Christmas Eve 1945, a fire destroyed the Sodder home in Fayetteville, West Virginia. The home was home to George Sodder, his wife Jenny, I think, and 9 of their 10 children.
10 children. Hold the phone.
10.
9 of their 10 fucking children.
Yep.
Good
they were just popping them out
Lord.
left and right.
She's just pregnant forever.
She was.
She's just never not pregnant.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
I couldn't do that.
Wow.
Too many.
That's the most distressing detail of the story so far. Not the house fire, the fucking 9
Just
of 10 children.
10 children.
God, okay.
Yep. So during the fire, George, Jenny, I think, Jennie.
Yeah.
We're going to go Jenny.
All right.
And 4 of the 9 children escaped.
Oh, so 5 of them did not.
Dun, dun.
Oh, no.
Maybe they did.
Is this the unsolved mystery part?
Maybe they didn't.
Okay.
So, the background on the family. George Sodder was born in Tula, Sardinia, Italy in 1895. He immigrated to the U.S. 13 years later with an older brother, and during his life would not talk about why he fled Italy to come to the United States. He found work in Pennsylvania carrying water and other supplies to workers. Then over the next couple of years, he was job hopping to different positions. He eventually found his way to Smithers, West Virginia, where he met Jenny Cipriani, who was a storekeeper's daughter in Smithers, who had also immigrated from Italy, and she eventually became George's wife.
Nice. I was going to say her last name definitely sounds Italian as well.
Yep. So they settled outside nearby Fayetteville in a 2-story timber-framed house 2 miles north of town. In 1923, they had their first of 10 children.
Jesus Christ. I can't get over that detail.
Seriously.
It's just too many.
It's the worst. George started his own trunking company, and the Sodder family, in quotes, became one of the most respected middle-class family around, end quote. But George was very opinionated and wasn't shy about stating his opinion or sometimes alienating people, which led to often strong arguments with other members of the immigrant community. So where they lived was a very, close Italian community.
Interesting. You don't think about, a lot of Italians living in, the South.
No.
That's super different.
Right.
Or maybe it isn't, and I just don't know anything about it. I don't really know.
So throughout the years, Jenny kept bearing children, obviously. 10 of them, with the last of the Sodder children, Sylvia, born in 1943. By that time, their oldest son, Joe, had left home to serve in the military during World War II. So because George was very opinionated, he had a lot to say about the late dictator Mussolini, who was disposed and executed. So in October of 1945, a visiting life insurance salesman, after being rebuffed, warned George that his house, in quotes, would go up in smoke, and your children are going to be destroyed, end quote.
Well, because he didn't buy his life insurance?
Yep.
Fuck off, you dick.
Yep.
Wow. That's not how you conduct business ethically.
Right? So he attributed all that to, in quotes, the dirty remarks you have been making about Mussolini, end quotes. So he has very strong opinions about George's strong opinions about Mussolini.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming rumors just spread within this community.
Yeah, and I'm assuming there's maybe others in the community who feel differently about Mussolini and he's making some social enemies?
Probably, yeah.
Perhaps? Okay,
yeah.
all
Yep.
right.
So another visitor to the house who was seeking work took the occasion to go around to the back of the house and warned George that a pair of fuse boxes would, in quotes, cause a fire someday.
Oh, shit.
Quotes.
He knew something was going to go down. He was, dropping hints.
Well, this is a different guy.
Yeah, but do you think he knew about it if he was, pointedly making comments about, hey, there might be a fire someday?
I mean, it totally could have been.
Wink,
Could have been both of them working together.
Interesting. I can imagine if it is kind of a tightly knit community of Italian migrants, or immigrants, maybe someone heard about it through the grapevine and he decided to try to give him a warning of some sort.
Right.
Interesting.
Yep. So George was puzzled by the observation of the fuse boxes because he had the house rewired when they had an electric stove installed, and the local electric company said that everything was safe. Then the weeks leading up to Christmas that same year, one of the older sons had noticed a strange car parked along the main highway through town, and the people in the car would watch the younger Sodder children as they returned from school.
No! Creepy! Stop doing that. Don't stalk children from your creepy molester van.
Right?
That's gross.
The worst. Like, who are you?
Go away.
Seriously. So the night of the fire, it was Christmas Eve, 1945. The Sodder family celebrated Christmas on Christmas Eve. Marion, the oldest daughter, had been working, and she surprised 3 of her younger sisters, Martha, Jenny, again, and Betty, with new toys for their Christmas gifts.
So that's Jenny Jr.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
There's another one.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
Yep. So the girls were so excited, they asked their mom if they could stay up past their bedtime to play with them.
Oh.
So she had allowed them to go play, and they ran upstairs with their toys, and that was around like 10 p.m. So at that time, 2 of the boys were still awake. Maurice and Louis. So 2 of the boys were still awake at that time.
2 of the other kids, yep.
I think it's Maurice and Louis, or Louise. I don't know. Maybe they wanted to rhyme.
It's either like Louis or Louis, probably.
Louis.
Yeah, probably.
Louis.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Definitely Maurice, though. You got Maurice right.
Yeah. And they helped to put the cows in the pen and fed the chickens before going to bed.
God, I want chickens.
They just have cows and chickens.
I just want to have chickens.
I want chickens, too, because I want eggs.
Yeah.
And Ben's like, no, we're not going to get chickens, because then if you get chickens and they stop laying eggs, you're not going to want me to kill it. I was like, you can kill it. I don't care. But don't let me be here when you do it.
I just don't want to be there to watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think we're going to get bees this year.
Oh, that's so fun.
Like, for real. I think we're going to get bees.
I've always wanted to get bees.
We might actually, it might wait until next year. I think we might take a summer, because you're apparently supposed to, like, do some sort of, like, job shadow with a beekeeper first before you get them. So you just
that would make
have
sense.
a better idea of what you're doing. So we might do that. But I think we're legit going to get, like, a small bee farm.
Do it!
I'm so excited.
I've thought about that. I think it'd be so fun.
I'll get bees, you get chickens, and we'll swap honey for eggs.
Perfect.
Great.
That sounds awesome.
I can't wait.
Love it.
Okay.
So they're doing chores around the house. Then George, the dad, and the 2 oldest boys, John and George Jr., who had spent the day working with their father, were already asleep. And after reminding the children of the rest of the chores that needed to be done, Jenny took Sylvia, the youngest, up to bed with her. So Mom took Sylvia.
Okay. They have 2 children named after them.
Yeah.
Of their 10, they named 2 of them after themselves.
Of course.
Yeah, that's so
why not?
Egotistical.
Yep.
Or they just ran out of ideas. Like, I don't know, we've named 8 children so far. We'll just pick something. Oh wait, we'll use my name. I know that's a name.
Yep. So around 12:30 a.m., the phone rang and Jenny ran downstairs to answer it. The caller was a woman, and Jenny did not recognize her voice. She asked for her name, and she did not know who it was, and in the background she heard sounds of laughter and clinking glasses.
Part time.
Mm-hmm. She told the caller that they had the wrong number, and later recalled the woman's, in quotes, weird laugh.
Ew.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, I wouldn't like a 12:30 call.
You have the wrong number.
Right?
Fuck off, lady.
Like, dude, go away.
I don't like that.
So after that, she returned to bed, but she noticed the lights were still on in the living room and the curtains were not drawn. And this is something that the children normally took care of if they were awake after Mom and Dad had gone to bed.
So they normally close the blinds every night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So she ended up just turning off the lights and drawing the curtains herself. So Marion fell asleep on the living room couch, and Jenny assumed that the other children had gone up to the attic where they had slept. So then, like I said, she turned off the lights, closed the curtains, and then went back to bed. But then at 1 a.m., Jenny woke up to the sound of a large object hitting the roof, then a rolling noise.
Oh.
She didn't hear anything further and went back to bed. By 1:30, she woke up again, and this time to the smell of smoke.
No! Mm-hmm. So this is all, like, within an hour of the phone call.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yep. So she got up and found George's office was on fire around the telephone line and fuse box.
Oh, shut up. The fucking fuse box that the dude told you about. He knew. He had to have known. There's no fucking way that he just showed up and by coincidence was like, maybe you should check your fuse box. Like, what? No, he knew.
Just wait.
Okay, sorry.
Not
I'm
done
spoiled.
yet.
Okay. I need to settle down. Okay.
You'll find the source.
Okay.
Don't you worry.
All right.
She woke George up, and he woke up his older sons. So the parents and the 4 of their children, Marion, Sylvia, John, and George Jr., escaped. They were yelling for the children upstairs, but they heard no response, and they were unable to get up the steps because they were already engulfed in flames.
Oh, no.
So the other children were up in the attic sleeping.
And they were stuck up there because the stairs are on fire. Oh, no.
So John, when he was interviewed after the fire and everything, he told the police in his first interview that after the fire, he went up to the attic to alert his siblings, but then later changed his story and said that he only called up to them. So that's a little sketchy.
You're a little sketchy, dude.
So the family ran into some complications when trying to call for help. The phones in the house didn't work, so Marion ran to the neighbor's house to call the fire department. And there was also a motorist on the nearby road that saw the flames, and both of them were unsuccessful at getting through to the operator.
Uh-oh.
So finally, someone was able to actually reach the firemen to get help. So while they were waiting, George decided to try and get to the attic to find the children. He had to climb up the wall of the house and broke open the attic window. And that's all that I got. It didn't say that he got into the actual attic. So this part I was a little confused on because then it said, so they had first intended to use a ladder to get into the attic to rescue the other children, but the ladder was not in the usual resting spot, and they couldn't find it anywhere on the home. Around the house.
Fucking moved it, I bet.
Just wait.
They
had a water barrel nearby that they wanted to use to extinguish the flames, but that was frozen solid. Then George tried to use his 2 trucks that he had for his business to use them to climb in the attic window, but neither of them would start despite working the day before.
Fucking this whole... Man, whoever did this, because someone clearly did it, was very thorough.
Uh-huh.
Very fucking thorough.
Right?
Oh my God.
To make sure you can't call, you can't get to the children.
Your trucks are not working. Anything you could use to help during the fire situation, like a bucket of water or a ladder, are conveniently not usable.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm like getting chills thinking about this. Imagine being the person who's going around doing all of that. Just like you are literally making sure no one survives.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That's just awful.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So frustrated that nothing was working, the 6 Sodders that escaped had to sit and watch the house burn down and collapse.
You're helpless. Mm-hmm. But you know that your children are inside and you can't do anything. Oh my God, that is a torture I would wish on no human on this planet. Like,
just to know that your children could be in there and you can't.
I don't care like how much evil you may have committed in your life. I would never in a million years wish on you standing there watching your child burn alive and not being able to do anything about it. That's so terrible.
Yep. So because of the war and the low manpower pretty much everywhere, the firefighters didn't respond to the fire till later that morning.
Shut up!
Yep.
Like several hours later?
Because they couldn't get through, they couldn't get the amount of people to call in for help and anything.
That's so terrible.
I know. So the firefighters couldn't do much once they got to the house aside from looking through the ash. By 10 a.m., Morris, who was the chief of police, told the family that they had not found any bones from the children who should have been in the house at the time of the fire. According to another account, they did find few bone fragments and internal organs, but chose not to tell the family.
Wait, so like the children are supposed to be in the house, but they can't find confirmed evidence of them dying in the house?
Yep.
Okay.
They found no bone fragments, nothing.
Okay. Or maybe some internal organs and just didn't share that with the family.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
It had been noted by modern fire professionals that their search was cursory at best. And Morris believed that the 5 children had died in the fire, suggesting that it had been hot enough to burn their bodies completely. And after reading that, I was like, I don't think house fires get to that point.
Do they? Like, when people get incinerated, I feel like the temperature is insanely high, and I feel like it burns for a long time. I guess if the fire went on, if the fire started at like 1 a.m, 1:30, and went on until like that morning, if it went on that long, maybe it had a chance to get hot enough to just totally incinerate the bodies, but...
Just wait.
Oh my God, there's more. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. I need to stop talking.
So, the aftermath after the fire, Morris told George to leave the site undisturbed so that the state's fire marshal could conduct more of a thorough investigation. But after 4 days, George and his wife could not bear the site anymore, and George bulldozed 5 feet of dirt over the site with the intention of converting it into a memorial garden for their lost children.
After only a few days? Mm-hmm. Dude, hold the phone. Like, let them finish the freaking investigation.
If you want to know what happened.
Like, you can't do that.
I know. So the local coroner convened an inquest the next day, which held that the fire was an accident caused by faulty wiring.
Shut up.
Which many say it was a man who had threatened the family because of George's remarks about Mussolini.
Yeah.
And then on December 30th, death certificates were issued for the children. And then there was a local newspaper who contradicted itself and said that all the bodies were found. But then later, the same story reported that only one body was recovered when no bodies were ever recovered.
Dudes, get your story straight.
Right? It's ridiculous.
Okay.
So after a while, the family obviously started questioning the official account from the fire marshal's police department and, like, literally everybody.
Yeah.
So they wondered why, if it was an electrical problem, did the Christmas lights remain on throughout the fire's early stages when the power should have gone out?
Especially if they had someone in just, what did you say, a few days before to rewire the place?
They had it all rewired. The electrical company said that it was fine because they had just put in a new electric stove.
Unless the electrical company completely fucked up their job, like, to an insane degree and just didn't tell them about it, but...
I don't think that's
so
plausible.
weird and, like, strangely... like, inconvenient to the story that they happened to have all of their wiring checked out, like, a few days before.
Exactly. But they also found their missing ladder at the bottom of an embankment 75 feet away.
Shut the fuck up! It's arson! It is arson!
Yep. The phone repairman told the family that the house's phone line had not been burned through because of the fire, but the line had been cut by someone.
Yep.
So someone literally went up a 14-foot pole to cut the phone line.
Yeah, to make sure they couldn't call for help.
Like, that's ridiculous.
And the fact that the police and the fire investigation squad, I don't know who manages that, but, like, they clearly knew and were covering it up.
Uh-huh.
There's no way they could just be that stupid and be like, we have no idea.
Right.
Like, come on.
Exactly. So there was a man who had been caught stealing from the property. He was caught stealing, like, some, like, tackle and something else, I think. I have it somewhere else later in my notes. But, so he was seen stealing, and he was identified and arrested. He admitted to theft and claimed that he had been the one to cut the phone line, thinking it was a power line, but denied having anything to do with the fire. But there are not any records identifying the suspect exists and why he would have cut any power or phone lines.
Yeah, the argument of, I wasn't cutting the phone line, I thought I was cutting a power line, doesn't really help explain anything.
No.
What business did you have cutting a power line then? Like,
exactly.
Why are you running around cutting lines willy-nilly?
Exactly.
Don't do that.
Yep. So that's a little sketchy.
Okay.
So Jenny also had trouble believing that all traces of the children's body would have been burned. Many of the household appliances had been found and still were recognizable in the ash, along with fragments of the tin roof.
But yet, conveniently, every single, like, not a single fragment of any of the children's bones were found because they were completely, quote, incinerated.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
When appliances should go up in flames faster than a body should.
Bones are kind of sturdy things. I feel like it takes a while
dense
to burn through. I mean, I guess I don't really know that much about, like, incinerating human bodies, but I feel like it takes a while and a very high temperature.
For a very long time.
To be completely, like...
And I feel like you would still have some sort of
small
fragment.
Pieces, yes. Like,
exactly.
Either it should all be absolute ash and dust with nothing recognizable, or there should be bits of everything, like the small appliances and bone fragments.
Yep.
Okay.
So she did some research and found another story similar to theirs where a family of 7 were killed in a fire and skeletal remains of all of the victims were reported and were found in the case. She also burned small piles of animal bones to see if they would have been completely consumed, and they never were.
Damn, she was like doing her research.
Yeah, she wanted to know.
Where did she get the animal bones?
I don't know. Like, that didn't tell me.
Murdering squirrels and being like, you died for a worthy cause.
Thank you. I'm going to burn your sacrifice. Body now.
But it's in the name of science.
Exactly. So then there was an employee of a local crematorium that contacted Jenny and told her that human bones remain even after bodies are burned at 2,000 degrees for 2 hours.
Yes.
Which is far longer and far hotter than any house fire.
Yeah, like maybe a house fire, like you said, it went on until the later in the morning, but it's because the house is so big, it would migrate from one area to another.
Exactly.
It wouldn't just sit and continually burn the same room for like 9 hours straight at, what did you say, 2,000 degrees? Yeah, I don't buy that.
Exactly.
Like my gut, I don't know anything about it, but my gut tells me that's weird.
It's not right.
Okay.
Yep. So as far as the trucks go, George believed that they had been tampered with, perhaps by the same man who stole, it was a block and tackle. I don't know what the fuck.
Oh, that got stolen?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what those are.
No idea.
So that guy tried to steal those. But one of George's son-in-laws told the Charleston Gazette Mail in 2013 that he believed...
In 2013?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
So it's a little bit.
Yeah, like
later.
A little bit later.
So he believed that they may have flooded the engine in their hurriedness to start the truck. So obviously I asked Ben about this because I wasn't sure. I asked him, I was like, if you're trying to start your car in a hurry, can you flood an engine? He's like, well, not with like normal cars today. They have some sort of something mechanism that makes it so you can't. But and I was like, okay, well, what about like 1940s? He's like, well, yeah, if they're trying to start it and they're like constantly revving or twisting the ignition and pressing on the gas, and if they're constantly trying to do that to get it to go, then they could potentially flood the engine.
I suppose that, I mean, this is where it pays to have a mechanic husband. I suppose that's possible, but I feel like to do that to both vehicles, like back to back, seems unlikely. You feel like you'd flood the first one and be like, shit, and then...
Don't do that again.
Yeah. I just both of them seems too convenient.
Yep. So as the years went on, more evidence came to light to prove that the fire was set deliberately and not from an electrical fire. There was a bus driver who passed through Fayetteville late Christmas Eve, and he said that he saw someone throwing balls of fire at the house.
What? Like Mario? Like what? How do you throw a ball of fire?
Like what they use in military, like the... kind of like smoke bombs, but they're fire bombs kind of thing.
Okay. I just...
Not like actual like fire
I'm picturing
balls.
like someone who like dipped a rock in like tar or pitch or some flammable substance and then like lighting it on fire and putting on an oven mitt and like throwing a fucking ball of fire.
No, like a military grade like fire something.
Okay, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about?
So then a few months later, when the snow melted, Sylvia found a small, hard, dark, green rubber ball-like object in the brush nearby. And that would also correspond with what Jenny heard at
rolling off the roof.
That it hit the roof and then rolled.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. So other witnesses claimed to have seen the children. One woman who had been watching the fire from the road said that she saw some of them peering out of a passing car while the house was burning.
Dickholes. Just chilling and be like, oh, we'll just take a peek at what's going on here. We'll just watch.
No, the kids were in the car.
Wait, sorry, say that sentence again?
So other witnesses claimed to have seen the children. One woman who had been watching the fire from the road said that she saw some of them peering out of the passing car while the house was burning.
Okay, sorry. I thought you said there was a woman sitting in a car watching the house burning.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. The children were in the car passing by.
My brain totally scrambled that sentence. That's interesting. Okay.
I feel like it would be hard to see that because it's dark.
Yeah. But there's a giant-ass fire illuminating. So some of the children in the Sodder family were, like, safely sitting in a car watching? Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out how that fits into the narrative. I don't know. I don't have an opinion yet on that.
You will.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So another woman at a rest stop between Fayetteville and Charleston said she had served them breakfast the next morning and noted the presence of a car with Florida license plates in the parking lot. So the family hired a private investigator to look into the case. He found that the insurance salesman who threatened he would burn down the house and his children would die was on the coroner's jury that ruled the fire an accident and told this to the Sodders.
Shut up! He was on the jury?
Uh-huh.
You can't do that! Who made that decision? That is not an impartial party.
Nope.
You need to do your fucking job and take those people out of the case. It's like the fucking innocent man case all over again, where they have all these people who have been hearing all these horrible things in the news sitting on the jury and being like, wow, this guy's a piece of shit. Even though all they're hearing is what the media is telling them.
Exactly.
Like, you can't do that.
But they did.
Okay.
They also learned of rumors that Morris had found a heart in the ashes, which he later packed into a metal box and secretly buried.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
What?
Packing hearts into a metal box and burying them.
He's like, oh, look, a human heart. I'll just tuck this away for safekeeping.
And not tell
the police or the parents or anyone, and we'll just bury it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
The layers are falling back here. And we're discovering something really strange and ugly on the inside.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So Morris apparently confessed this to a local minister who confirmed it to George. George then confronted Morris, and he agreed to show them where the box is buried. After digging it up, they brought what they found to a local funeral director, who, after examining it, had said that it was a fresh beef liver and it was never exposed to the fire. So
beef
Morris
liver?
just found this thing lying around, thought it might have been human, and packed it away because he didn't want to hurt the family, I'm assuming.
I have so many questions about that. Okay, where was that found?
In the house somewhere in the ashes.
So in the ashes, a beef liver was found. So my question
untouched
is,
from the fire,
that someone put it there, obviously,
been, yes.
Because why in the hell else would there be a cow inside the fucking house?
Right.
And why would it be
unless the family had cow liver in like their freezer.
Okay, fair.
And
I guess
the
they might have been
refrigerator
eating
burned.
that, yep, but like just sitting there untouched by the fire. That's bizarre. Mm-hmm. Second, who fucking looks at a liver and mistakes it for a heart? They look nothing alike.
No, they're completely opposite.
Like a liver is just a dark, dense, uniform slab of like meat, essentially. It's just boring and like unexciting in every way. Hearts have like valves and shit.
Right. Valves and shit.
I mean, I guess maybe, okay, gotta put myself back in like 1940s shoes. Maybe they didn't know exactly, like, maybe it wasn't widely known what the human heart looks like at that point. But that's just so...
I feel like you would know what a heart looks like at that point.
How do you mistake it for a fucking liver?
Right.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
That guy's a dumbass.
He really
or
is.
Or he's being weird and having some sort of satanic ritual with a beef liver.
I mean, who knows? So then in 1949, in August, they decided to do an excavation of the 5 feet of dirt that George decided to put over the house.
Like an idiot.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So George persuaded a guy named Oscar Hunter, who was a pathologist, to supervise a new search through the dirt at the house. After a very thorough search, artifacts, including a dictionary and some coins, were found. Several small bone fragments were unearthed and determined to have been human vertebrae.
No.
Just wait. It gets weird.
The bone fragments were there the whole time.
No. So the fragments were sent to Marshall T. Newman, who was a specialist at the Smithsonian Institution. They were confirmed to be lumbar vertebrae, all from the same person. They said that the age of this person would have been around 16 to 17, with the top limit being around 22. Because of this finding, it was not very likely to be the bones from any of the missing children, since the oldest would have only been 14, who would have been stuck in the house.
Okay.
So Newman also added that the bones showed no exposure to flames, and he agreed that it was very strange that those bones were the only ones found, since a wood fire of such a short duration would have left the full skeletons of all the children behind.
Yeah, why would it be only the vertebrae and only from one of them? They said it came from the same person?
The same person.
That makes no sense.
Uh-huh.
That makes no sense.
Yep.
Okay.
So Newman stated that the bones probably came from the dirt that George had bulldozed over the site.
Where did he get his dirt from?
It was then confirmed that the bones had come from a cemetery in Mount Hope, but not sure how they were taken from there or how they came to be at the fire site or where he got his dirt from.
This story just keeps twisting and turning around.
Uh-huh.
Like, let's go as far down, like, left field as we
Right?
can here real quick. Like, what?
It's going down every road fucking possible.
Did George steal grave dirt from...
That's what I thought at first when I read it. I was like, is he just going around stealing other people's dirt and, like, digging up bodies?
What?
And how did you get the vertebrae into the dirt if they should have been in a casket?
And yes, and only the vertebrae, and only from one person. So, like, it's pretty clear that those ended up there after the fire.
Yep.
But, okay.
But I don't know where they came from.
Okay.
So, the state police found that the Sodder case was hopeless and closed it at the state level.
I agree. It's really confusing.
So the FBI decided that it had jurisdiction as a possible interstate kidnapping, but dropped the case after 2 years of following fruitless leads.
Okay.
So obviously the family continued their investigations, and they kept up the investigation, offering a reward to anybody who could solve the case for them. So because of this, it brought other reported sightings of the children after the fire. So there was Ida Crutchfield, a woman who ran a I think that's supposed to say Charleston.
Okay.
But I typed it out as Charlatan.
Yeah, probably supposed to be Charleston.
Yeah,
yep.
Hotel.
Yep.
Claimed to have seen the children a week after the fire.
Shut up!
The children had come in around midnight with 2 men and 2 women, all of whom appeared to be Italian. When she attempted to speak with the children, in quotes, one of the men looked at me in a hostile manner. He turned around and began talking rapidly in Italian. Immediately, the whole party stopped talking to me, end quotes. She recalled that they left the hotel early the next morning, but investigators do not believe her story because she had only seen the photos of the children 2 years after the fire and then came forward 5 years after the fire.
So that would have been she would have had to very distinctly remember that encounter to be able to look at those photos and be like, wait, I remember them.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, because that also doesn't really make sense. Like, 2 men and 2 women with these missing children. Like, so that would imply that there's some sort of, like, kidnapping scheme going on. Sure. But then who are those people, and what did the kidnappers ever achieve from kidnapping those children? Because they were never found or, like, ransomed after the fire. Like, they were just gone, or I'm getting ahead of myself.
There are a couple theories.
Okay, let's hear some theories. I love theories.
Happened.
Let's hear some theories. Okay.
So for many years, George went around checking out different, in quotes, sightings where people said they saw the children, but nothing ever panned out. There was, though, one letter that came through that seemed to be the most credible evidence that Lewis was still alive. Jenny got a letter with no return address, and there was a picture of a young man in his 30s with features that strongly resembled Lewis's. On the back of the picture, it was written, Lewis Sodder, I love brother Frankie, Lil Boys, A90132 or 35.
The fuck?
So I don't know if that's like a zip code and then his age. Why is it Lil Boys?
Lil Boys? Yeah, I don't know
really
about
strange.
that. Okay.
So the family hired another PI, private investigator, to see if they could find this person, but nothing ever panned out. So George died in 1969 and Jenny died in 1989. Many have theorized that the Sicilian mafia was trying to extort money from George, and the children may have been taken by someone who knew about the planned arson and said they would be safe if they left the house and were possibly taken back to Italy.
So they basically planned this whole fire thing and used that as a cover to get the children away and hidden from the mafia so that they would think they were dead when instead they had been like whisked away under the cover of the fire out of the country.
Yes.
Interesting. Interesting. So that whole like bone fragment from the vertebrae being found over the property was purely like coincidental based on wherever George got his dirt from.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. I want to know what the hell the beef liver's doing in the house.
You're so caught up on the beef liver.
Really, that's a very bizarre detail to me. And that it was found there, and then this guy decided to bury it.
Yep.
There's
so many weird things going on in this story. Why are the fire marshals trying to cover up this fire? Why are they lying to them? Like, what? No bone fragments are found when a full skeleton should have been found of all 4 of those children, 4 or 5 of them.
So, like, I get that makes sense then if we're believing the theory that the children were basically, like, taken away and, like, presumed to be dead. Like, okay, I can get on board with that. But it's just like Dyatlov, where that only explains 80% of what we saw.
Exactly.
The other 20% about someone, like, taking a fucking beef liver out of the house and then burying it and, like... The bone fragments from other dirt mysteriously showing up when he decided to... And, like, why did George decide to bury the house 4 days after the investigation?
Like, if I was in that situation, I feel like I would have allowed them to try and figure out where the hell my goddamn children went.
I guess if we assume that this was like a planned event and that let's go with that last theory of the children being whisked away, then I guess it would make sense for him to try to cover up the site, basically have the investigation go as like quickly as possible and then cover it up so that if the mafia ever did come looking for his children to use them as a means of extorting money out of him, then they wouldn't have anything to go back on to prove that they were still alive, and the mafia would just have to buy the story that they died in the fire. My question then is why only 4 of the children? 5 of the children.
5.
Why not the rest of them?
Right.
Why?
Well, because I feel like they would need to keep some of them to make it not seem so suspicious that it would be like
that,
a
like
kidnapping.
all 9 children died and only the parents lived.
Right.
Yeah, I guess, but it seems strange to me that like they only chose a handful and like some of them were just like chilling in a car watching the fire happen. It's just very strange.
There's a lot of questions.
And then why then go to the lengths, if that's true, why go to the length to throw the ladder down a ravine, have the cars not start, unless he was trying to make it seem like someone had done this on purpose. I guess if he
that
wanted,
would probably be my guess.
Yeah, I guess he could have done it himself, or like the family could have done it to make it look really, because it seems really, really suspicious.
Well, I don't think that George was trying to hide from the mafia. It's that the mafia came in and did this stuff to the family and took the 4 kids away as a way to like do whatever to George.
Okay, I was thinking about the opposite, where George knew the mafia was coming and did it as a way to get his children out.
That could have been it too.
That, I suppose that could be it.
And like he was playing it up, and the children are actually with like a relative, because somewhere in the article it stated too that George, I think it was either George or Jenny, had family who lived down in Florida, which would then make sense.
The Florida plate.
Yes.
And then being seen with someone.
Yes.
That's
which would
my thought.
That would make sense.
That's my thought, is that he staged this whole thing himself and maybe went out of his way to like make it seem like the cars had been tampered with and that the ladder, to make it seem like it was very like clearly arson. In an effort to basically smuggle his children away from them to keep them safe.
That could have been too.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. And they suspected that the fire started in the roof because of the sound hitting the roof and
the fire, but the potential firebomb.
Maybe could have allowed the children to be, I feel bad saying this, incinerated.
Yeah.
Because they were in the attic, and if it started in the roof, then they would just be blazing for however many hours.
Yeah.
but I don't know that house fires get to over 2,000 degrees.
Yeah, I mean, if we're taking the evidence found by Jenny's experiments with animal bones seriously, which I don't know how credible of a source that is, but the fact that the coroner came out and called her and was like, hey, by the way, that seems a little suspicious.
Right.
Is a little bit more credible than her own personal experimentation with animal bones. I don't know
a little bit.
that's real evidence, but it is interesting.
So I'm really glad I picked that place. My sources were Wikipedia. That's it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so. Definitely had never heard of it for sure. Yeah. So that was an interesting story.
I neither. And when I just read the little snippet, I was like, oh, this sounds like it could be good.
It just twists and turns all day long.
I know, because I was thinking about doing, oh God, what the fuck is his name? Oh! It was this old guy who was on this airplane who had a lot of money, and then the airplane crashed, and people think that he lived and took his fortune with him.
Never heard of that.
Oh, what the fuck is his name? I have to think on that.
Okay.
I'll have to find it.
Well, you think about that, and in the meantime, let's move on to our next segment. Craft Cocktail Code.
No!
Wait, what? Oh, no! Wait, hold on.
Please hold.
Hold on, my bad.
She
forgot.
Guys,
my bad.
You guys!
We have
a story!
We have a story.
I kind of picked this one out. No one actually sent it in.
Right, but we still have a story.
Yes.
It was gathered from a person who has experienced something scary.
Fucking creepy.
Okay, and I don't know this story because Anna found it. She's like, oh my God, Annie, I found something. I'm so excited.
Chills when I listened to her.
Okay.
So obviously I scroll through Instagram all the time and I watch people's stories, and there's this girl, her name is Sydney Thompson. She's a Beachbody coach. She was on my team when I was a coach. And I watch her stories all the time. She's freaking hilarious. And she and her husband, and she's got a 1-year-old daughter, they live down in Louisiana right now. And they decided to do like a getaway in this small, tiny cabin somewhere, I'm assuming in Louisiana. I don't actually know. So they just took like a weekend to get away and stuff. And the following Monday when she came back, like I was looking through her stories, and on her first story, she's like, guys, I have the scariest story to tell you. And after this weekend, I've been like thinking about it, and now thinking about it, I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking weird.
I'm so excited. Okay,
so I asked her, I messaged her, I was like, hey, so your story fucking freaked me out. My friend and I, we have this podcast. We talk about scary paranormal things. I was wondering if I could use your story on our podcast this week. And she's like, oh, yeah, that's totally fine. That's awesome.
Oh, my God. Thank you, Sydney.
I literally, excited. Like, watched her story multiple times and just typed out everything
just verbatim.
She said.
Okay.
For the most part.
I'm so excited.
And so.
Here we go.
Here is Sydney's story.
Real life scary experience,
and this
friends.
is all in her wordage.
Okay.
So I'm just reading it like I'm her.
Okay.
So we are staying at this cabin. It was like 4 p.m, and we had a fire going outside, so it wasn't dark out, and the dogs were running around. And there was this back road that went right by the cabin that was surrounded by woods. I see this lady coming down towards the cabin with her dog, and I told Lake is her husband, hey, let's go put the dogs inside. So I put the dogs in because they weren't on a leash or anything, and this lady starts walking by and was like 50 yards from where we were standing, and she was wearing like this formal, like flowy dress. Not really formal, but more of a flowy, really nice dress with a winter coat on. I made a comment like, why is she wearing a dress that's so weird?
Okay. For walking your dog.
Right.
That makes no sense.
And in like the middle of winter, even though it's Louisiana, which
it's still like pretty warm down there.
40 degrees or something like that.
So nice.
Right? Okay, so she keeps walking, and she is behind her truck, and I can't see her anymore, and she turns around. And still, I'm not thinking anything of this. I'm getting freaked out because I haven't actually thought about it till we got home because I was so scared. So all of a sudden, I look up and this lady is like on the road with her dog. Her dog is not peeing or pooping or doing anything. It was just like this little corgi thing, and it was just sitting there. She is just standing there through the trees like this. Just
Anna's giving me a creepy dead-eyed stare right now in case you're wondering what's happening.
At them.
Okay.
And I'm like looking at her, and oh my gosh, her eyes were so chilling, so scary, looking like they were glaring. And I'm like, Lake, that lady is looking at us. And he's like, what lady? And I'm like, the fucking dress lady is staring at us.
The only other fucking person on the street.
This went on for over a minute of her looking at us like this, just staring stoned face.
Think about that for a full minute.
You're in the middle of the fucking woods.
Yeah.
And this lady and her dog are just staring at you.
That's not okay.
Oh my gosh. And I was so uneasy. Okay, at this point, I'm totally losing it and hyperventilating, and I've watched too many kidnapping things where I'm like, her boyfriend is going to come out, and she's going to have like 10 men come out and take River and kill us. River is her daughter.
Okay.
And so Lake is...
So her dad's name is Lake and their daughter's name is River.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
Yep. That's so cute.
That makes me want to throw up, but it's also really cute. I love it. Thank you, Sydney. I love your daughter's name. That's adorable.
She's the cutest thing. I'll have to show you her.
Oh,
she's
cute.
Adorable.
I love that.
Let's see. And so Lake is like, okay. And he starts walking up to the cabin to look at what the hell she's doing. So she walked from this way. I think she was like walking away from the cabin to walk back to stare at us.
The dog lady?
Yeah.
Okay.
And was walking this way and had turned around multiple times. So I run inside and I run to the window. And she is in the driveway staring at me through the window.
No!
Still stone face.
No!
In your fucking driveway staring at you through the goddamn window!
Piss off, lady.
Oh my gosh!
Do not come closer.
Right? And I'm like, what the fuck? So Lake goes outside to confront her and be like, excuse me, you need to go. And he goes out there and she just takes off the other direction.
No!
So he just sat outside for the next hour and was like, I dare her to come back. I should have said something like, what do you want? But all night I was so uneasy, like she was going to break through the windows. I don't think she would have done anything to us, but if she had like 10 boyfriends who were going to come and kill us, I don't know what she wanted or who she was.
Wow.
But that's the
just
story.
Just a freaking lady in a
just
dress
a lady
in the middle of the winter.
Dress in the middle of the winter.
Staring at you.
In the goddamn woods. Just staring.
And then comes up on your driveway. Like,
yes!
Gets closer.
I still have chills. Like, when she was telling me the story, I was almost in, like, tears crying because of how uncomfortable I was. Because that's the premise of a serial killer movie.
Yeah,
like horror movie.
If there was ever anyone, I don't care how they're dressed or what they're doing, if there's ever a person just standing in my driveway staring at our house, I'm calling the police. Like, there is, I'm sorry, you're on our property. I don't know what you want or why you would be staring at our house, but you should not be here.
Nope. Get the fuck out of here.
Did I tell you about a couple of weeks ago, Anders and I woke up and we thought there were people on our roof?
What?
So it's like Saturday morning and we wake up and I think I maybe told this story to another friend of ours, but we wake up, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday and we hear this very clear, very distinctive like thump, thump, thump from the roof right above our bedroom. And I think I'm maybe just hearing things. And then Anders, I see him kind of like sit up a little bit and I'm like, did you just hear that? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, shit. And we're like laying there. And this has happened to us so many times. We hear like a weird noise like 2 a.m. and we wake up and we're both just kind of laying there silently, like listening, like, what do we do? And we're laying there and then we hear this like thump, 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 thump again. And I'm like, it sounds like there's someone walking on a roof. He's like, yeah, it does. And he goes, we have an attic, right? I'm like, yes. Like, we do. But
is it above your bedroom?
I don't honestly know.
I was gonna say you have a high ceiling in your bedroom. I don't think you'd have an attic. I don't
know that there's like attic space. It's weird. There's like this little square area on the ceiling of our upstairs where if you wanted to push through, you could get into the attic. But it's not like storage space up there. It's not like an actual floor. It's just like insulation and shit.
Okay.
So we're like, what the hell? And Anders gets up and he goes downstairs to like look around the house because we're like, well, okay, maybe it sounds like it's coming from the roof, but it's coming from somewhere else. And I'm sitting in our bedroom and I'm listening and I hear it like moving across our roof and it migrates to over on top of our bathroom. So I go in the master bathroom and I'm like sitting in there and I'm hearing it right above my head and I'm like freaking out at this point. And I'm trying to rationalize with myself. I'm like, okay, there's other people in our neighborhood that got like roofing work done this year.
Right.
We've seen signs from other like roofing companies. And this was, I think it was back in like November, it was before we had a ton of snow.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, maybe someone's getting the roof replaced and they came to the wrong house and maybe they're walking around in our house because they have the wrong address or something.
Right.
And I'm sitting here trying to like justify. And meanwhile, I'm hearing this
down.
like super clear, just like thump, thump, thump from our roof. I'm like, there is fucking someone walking around either on our roof or in our attic. And then all of a sudden I hear this like whoosh and I see like 4 crows dive bomb past our bathroom window.
Oh my God.
And like fly away. And it stops. And I call down to Anders. I'm like, Anders.
Crows just like thumping on the ceiling.
and I'm like, Anders, it stopped. And he goes, did you just see a bunch of crows fly away? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, there was a fucking group of crows on our roof pecking at the roof because he went out on the back. I was like, Anders, go down on our back patio and see if you can see anything.
Yeah.
And he comes back inside and he's like, yeah, there was a group of like 8 crows on our roof. Pecking at the tile or on the like roofing tiles or whatever. And then when he came outside, they all flew away and panicked. And then it stopped. And I was like, you've got to be shitting me.
It's all the Nights of Scary Movies.
It's
and they're just fucking
crows pecking at our roof just for fun.
Oh my God, that's
And then
awesome.
they flew away and it stopped. And I was like, I feel like such a dumbass. I feel so stupid.
That's
It was
so awesome.
But it really sounded like footsteps, I shit you not. It sounded like someone walking around, and it was just so bizarre. And then it turned out to be crows. I was so pissed.
I love that so
Oh
much.
my God.
Oh, that's
amazing.
hilarious.
Ugh.
We had some guy yelling outside of our window last night.
What?
I don't know who
Shut
the fuck
up.
it was, but it was like right when we were going to bed, and I just hear this like, "Rah!" And like it was more coherent, but it was like this weird high-pitched scream for someone. And then it stopped, and I just sat and listened, and I was slightly getting freaked out. And then it went again, and it was like a louder yell, and Ghost heard it because he perked up. I was like, what the fuck?
And when your dog's paying attention, you know you gotta pay attention
Right.
to the shit. Yeah.
And then I heard nothing else.
Okay.
And I was half expecting to see someone's face like come in through the window because I sleep by the window now.
Did you check the Belle Plaine local newspaper for
I
murder
did
victims
not.
today?
But then I just fell
Oh,
asleep.
wow.
So I don't know.
That's
who
intense.
it was.
Could have been a fox
So-
screaming.
I mean, maybe.
They sound like murder victims.
They
for
do.
Sure.
They sound fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah. I don't like them.
You're like, what the fuck was that? Oh, it's a fox.
It's the worst.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're on to the segment I thought we were on previously,
Yes.
which is Craft Cocktail Cult
Craft
Recipe.
Cocktail Cult. And thank you.
you.
Thank you, Sydney, for your story.
Yes, thank
and
you, Sydney
allowing us
Thompson.
to share that story.
I'm so glad you and your wonderful husband and daughter did not get kidnapped or murdered.
Me too. That would have been awful.
How sad.
Right?
Okay, so here's
This
a
is-
recipe.
Do you want to say it? Because I've been talking all fucking episode.
Sure, it's what are we calling this? A bubblegum
Martini.
It looks like Smurf jizz.
Jizz. Thank you,
Not
Tipsy
gonna lie.
bartender.
This is a recipe that we have not tried, but we're
Nope.
going to make it tonight.
We're trying it
and
tonight.
I'm really bummed because you're supposed to rim your glass with pink sprinkles, and I could not
Is
find
she
them at the
gonna find
grocery
pink
store.
sprinkles?
They didn't have
I
sprinkles.
want pink
Sprinkles. We'll just
sprinkle.
rim it in regular sugar.
Okay.
And you know what? No, I was going to say we can add food coloring to sugar, but that wouldn't work because it would just make it into syrup.
Yeah.
So we won't do that.
Okay.
Okay, so bubblegum martini.
Yeah.
What do we got?
We have 1.5 ounces of creme de banana.
Our favorite bullshit.
So good.
I'm pretty sure we talked about that like maybe 15 episodes ago
Probably.
because Anders and I got that bottle that
we
one
took
time.
a shot of it.
Yes, we did.
I think.
I'm pretty sure we maybe mentioned it at the end of one episode.
Probably.
We're like creme de banana. It sounds familiar.
Yeah. So in your shaker glass, you put 1.5 ounces of creme de banana, 1.5 ounces of Irish cream, your favorite, whatever it may be,
Delicious.
and 1.5 ounces of blue curacao.
Blur.
Blue curacao.
Blue curacao. Blue cacao.
And then you shake her for 15 seconds. And then you strain her into your little martini glass with your beautiful rimmed pink sprinkled rim, if you can find pink sprinkles.
Pink sprinkles. Why is that so hard to say?
Pink sprinkles. And then you enjoy it.
And hopefully it tastes like bubblegum.
Hopefully it does. And hopefully it doesn't taste like shit.
I mean,
Because we're going to make 4 of them. and the boys probably aren't going to like them, so we're going to be stuck drinking them.
By the way, if you ever hear us refer to the boys, we're talking about our husbands who just generally have to put up with our bullshit. And
because we're the ones who get drunk all the time, and then they just laugh at our drunkenness.
Well, they have to try our recipes, I feel like. They're kind of the, like, guinea pig victims of our craft cocktail cult recipes.
Yes,
so
it's perfect.
Guys, if you try this
recipe... Ben sent this to me on Facebook.
To be fair, this was his idea, and I said it looked disgusting, and we decided to do it anyway because it'll be an adventure.
Yes.
So friends, join us on this wonderful adventure and taste it yourself and let us know what you think.
Please do it.
We want to hear from you.
Oh, gosh. See if you survive or if you vomit right when you taste it.
I'm sure it won't taste that bad.
The Irish cream just weirds me out.
It'll be like a creamy, fruity thing.
I don't know.
Honestly, the banana is what's throwing me off.
It's Irish cream for me.
Irish
with
cream
banana
and blue
curacao. That's like orange and banana, and then like...
I mean,
cream.
All three of them are kind of strange, if you ask me. The whole recipe is strange.
I'm really nervous.
We'll give it a try. Let you know.
Yes, we will.
So, friends, until next time, please don't use a Ouija board.
Don't be dumb.
Don't have a seance.
Don't do that.
Don't summon demons.
Don't do that.
It's not worth it.
It's not.
Please do check us out on social media.
Hell yeah.
If you have a great story like the one that Sydney shared with us, thank you so much again, Sydney. Please send it in to nightmarenation19@gmail.com because we want to read any personal stories you may have of scary things that have happened to you or someone you know on the podcast.
Hell yeah. Or check us out on the social media. We got the Instagram nightmare.nation19 or the Facebook nightmare_nation19. Check us out. You'll be chatting with me.
Anna's the best. She's super friendly.
Because that's what I'm here for. I want to have conversations with you.
Yeah, she does.
I'm pretty cool.
She's pretty cool.
You guys are probably pretty cool. So let's be friends.
Let's do it.
Let's just be friends.
You know what we should not do?
What?
Use Ouija boards.
Yeah, don't do that.
So,
don't be dumb.
Friends, stay safe.
Stay safe.
Wear a mask and don't summon demons.
And drink responsibly.
Yes, please. We talk about drinking a lot. Don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.